this week on Diplomatic Channel. The protests are becoming larger and more frequent, Algerians saying no to President Abdelaziz Bouteflika's bid to run a fifth term. We speak to the President's Foreign Relations Professionals Association of Nigeria, who incidentally is a former deputy principal representative of Nigeria to Algeria and is chargé d'affaires of the Nigerian embassy in Algeria, Ambassador Ghani Lawal, and what could be behind the protests and the silence among African countries to what's going on. Plus, what North Korea could be planning next following its no-deal summit with America's President Donald Trump. A warm welcome to our viewers here in Nigeria and around the world. I am Amarachi Ubani. It feels like the Arab Spring all over again as Algerians take to the streets a third week calling for President Abdelaziz Bouteflika to quit the presidency. The president is not in the country and has not been seen in public since he suffered a stroke in 2013. But his campaign manager has been doing the groundwork for him, submitting his interest form at the Electoral Commission and announcing a deal with the people, asking to rule for another year if he wins the election coming up in April. The people say no, but how much longer can they keep up with the protests? And who in the world out there is listening to their demands?
The protests are happening far and wide in major cities across the country and abroad. In the capital, Algiers, the number of protesters has grown from hundreds to thousands to now tens of thousands, challenging President Abdelaziz Bouteflika to end his 20-year rule. They are the biggest protests the city has seen in 28 years. But while demonstrations were mostly peaceful, police used tear gas to block the road to the presidential palace and used it in several other areas of the capital. Over in France, the numbers have also grown. People say Algerians are no longer afraid and that threats made by the military chief of staff of a return to civil war violence would be to no avail, as the people are tired. Those protesting in the French capital, Paris, say they are not only demonstrating against Bouteflika, but the entire current political system, which they deem unfit to govern. France has remained strangely quiet on current events in Algeria, although President Emmanuel Macron summoned the French ambassador to the country recently to take stock of the situation. The 82-year-old Bouteflika has been in Switzerland receiving medical treatment for an undisclosed illness. The protests are also taking place there. Protesters say they want to get rid of him, even though they are grateful for what he has done in the country. They want other candidates to participate and win in the elections. The protests have entered their third week and show no signs of stopping. Everyone, including the country's lawyers, have joined in. One of them says they feel the absence of the rule of law in the country, the absence of rights and freedoms, and that the elections are a masquerade. Many years ago, Abdelaziz Bouteflika enjoyed the support of the Algerian people. He presided over the end of the bloody civil war in 2002 and ended emergency rule in 2011 amidst regional unrest. But he has surpassed Chadli Benjedid as the longest-serving head of state of Algeria. He had joined the Army of National Liberation when he was just 19. He served as president of the United Nations General Assembly in 1974 and 1975 and led the Non-Aligned Nations movement. Was sued in 1981 for having stolen Algerian embassy's money between 1965 and 1979 and was convicted of having fraudulently taken 60 million dinars during his diplomatic career. In his defense, Bouteflika said he had reserved the money to build a new building for the Foreign Affairs Ministry, but the court judged his argument as fallacious. He reimbursed over 12 million dinar of the 70 million he had deposited in a Swiss bank. He was granted amnesty by President Chadli Benjedid. after which he got his diplomatic passport back and a villa where he used to live but did not own, and his debt was erased. He never paid back the money he reserved for a new Foreign Affairs Ministry's building. He became president in 1999 and in 2006 changed the constitution to allow him run a third term. The constitutional reform actually removed the presidential term limit previously included. He suffered a debilitating stroke in 2013 and has not been seen in public since, though making a rare appearance on Algerian state television in June 2017, presiding over a cabinet meeting with his new government.
Let's go now to my conversation with Ambassador Ghani Lawal, who says he's not surprised there's been little or no response from fellow African countries about what's going on in Algeria, the roots of which can be found in the establishment of the new Partnership for African Development, NEPAD. Ambassador Dr. Ghani Lawal, thank you for joining us on the program. First of all, I'm sure you'd like to give your condolences to the families of the late Ambassador Abiodun Bashua, who was a retired ambassador who was on contract with the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa, and Professor Pius Adesomi, both who lost their lives in the Ethiopian air crash that happened on Sunday.
Oh yes, may their soul rest in peace. I will just request that we pause for a minute. Ambassador Bashua was a colleague and a brother. We grew up together in Lagos. Most of his junior brothers are my colleagues in secondary and primary school. And we worked together in Abuja, a gentleman and an ambassador, very easygoing. So it's quite very unfortunate. Ambassador, Professor Pius Adesomi is a product of Carleton University. I met him when I was in Canada. He's a prolific writer. He's from the Yoruba-speaking area of Kogi people. A versatile writer, very erudite, And I remember one of his write-up that I used to enjoy called Deayin, that in any Yoruba community there must be one Igbo man selling all kinds of things. We call them Deayin. Go and buy something from Deayin. So he wrote something very, very interesting about that. So to tell you that man is well grounded in the Yoruba culture. So may his soul rest in peace. We have lost two great sons of Nigeria, So may God give the family the fortitude to bear this great loss.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we have to continue because other things are going on in the world today. The protests in Algeria, which is the reason why we're here. Why do you think they're holding now? I mean, of all these years that President Abdelaziz Bouteflika has been in charge of Algeria, why after 20 years is Algeria rebelling against him?
Yes, I can tell you that straight away because Bouteflika, born in 1937, will be 82 this year. He has been involved in the violent protests that led to Algerian Revolution, in which they got their independence by 1962. He was the youngest foreign minister in that country, as at the age of maybe 25, And by 1999, he was able to successfully win an election, which he was to serve for 5 years. Although Algeria is a country of revolution, there have been protests and protests, but his reign, largely was able to douse some of this because of some of the reforms he undertook.
Seeing that this almost looks like the Arab Spring all over again, will they succeed, you think, in toppling his government and installing a new one?
Well, I don't think they will topple his government. Don't forget that the party that he is leading has been in power for 50 years. And most of these party officials have already started to come up with different kind of solutions, to make sure they douse the tension. And if you look at the protest, the way it's going, it's not violent. people are just saying no, enough is enough.
Even though the president is warning that there could be chaos.
Even the president himself is saying he's satisfied with the way people are organizing themselves.
But he's also warning there could be chaos.
Well, naturally they will, because there's some. He's warning because he felt some people might hijack that place. Don't forget, Algeria is a country of revolutionaries. There are some sleeper cells in that country who enjoy amnesty. Some of them are traders, but they haven't forgot the tactics of their guerrilla warfare during their struggle. They are still there. Such people.
Bouteflika himself was also one.
Of course,
He was a member of one
yes,
of the cells.
so it is warning, because those sleeper cells could hijack this protest and turn it into something else.
I remember in my conversation with you just before this interview, you did mention that, you know, one of the reasons why we're not hearing the international community on this, I mean, it's a major protest going on in Algeria. A protest have spread and spilled to even Switzerland, where the president has been for the past 2 weeks. There are also protests in France. And France, interestingly, has been quiet over this protest. They have summoned their own ambassador to Algeria, but, you know, they're still watching very quietly what's going on. And then the AU has said absolutely nothing concerning the protests in Algeria. And I remember you mentioning that this might have something to do with NEPAD.
Oh, well, you see, no, I think it's the other way around. It's too early for any external interference in what's going on in Algeria. Otherwise, they will be accused of undue interference in internal affairs of another country. So it's wise to continue to watch and monitor development the way it's going. As I said, by yesterday, the military have sided with the people, saying that they will try to get all inclusive, what do you call it, conference whereby people will come and then they will find a way to ease him out. That is the war that is going to leave. So it's not going to lead to unnecessary conflagration. So as such, it's too early. No, it's too early. Don't forget, Algeria is very good in trying to douse tension. That's why Arab Spring was not able to consume Algeria, because it's under because under Bouteflika they have a lot of money. As a matter of fact, at that time, I think they went into their reserve to make sure they placate people. As at now, they're having about 7 billion. As at the time they are doing that, their foreign reserve was about 21 billion. And that is why some of us feel that you know, it is not sustainable for you to continue to give handout to people. You have to look for sustainable economic life for people. You don't give people handout. That okay, take no, it doesn't. And the German says, "Don't give me fish, but teach me how to so that I can eat fish for a long time."
Hear some of them, and they say, "Oh, there's no free press. There is no. The economy is down. We don't seem to have all that we need at this time." And Bouteflika has overstayed his stay.
Yeah, that's the reason.
You know, in the government, and it's time to have, you know, a new government. But you know, if you look at the pattern that has been set on the continent, Zimbabwe, where Robert Mugabe ruled for over 30 years, you have Uganda, where you have Yoweri Museveni, who's been there
Cameroon
also for 20 years, and then there is Cameroon. Elections are taking place in these countries, but nothing is changing.
Yeah, you see, first of all, some of these leaders, if you look at the pattern, I hope there's going to be a study to understand the pedestal through which these people came to power. Majority of them came to power during the fight for independence of this country. And if you listen to Mugabe, he's always boasting that we built this country, you know, and we are going to be there till as long as we like. So they don't have democratic ideals, with the exception of Mandela, you know, who felt that no, one time is enough for me. I have somebody that's a taboo Becky to take over, you know. And if they have been going like that, but they themselves too, they got it wrong somewhere, because the party supremacy took over, which they couldn't do under Mandela. That's how Suma was able to become president. And look at the way he messed up the whole thing. So now, be that as it may, what I'm trying to say is that most of these African leaders who have fought for independence and things, when they get to power, they seem to feel that, well, all these things we have done for this country, we are going to be there forever. They don't have the democratic ideas. You know, that is a major problem for all of them. Imagine somebody who wants to continue to rule a country at the age of 82. when your head cannot even support it.
Always a pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
It's a
Thank you
pleasure.
again. You're watching Diplomatic Channel. Still ahead, is North Korea rebuilding a nuclear plant, and is it back to nuclear activity? What's up with the country? Stay with us.